From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Good morning and welcome to the Trades and Builders Business Show, the show where we hear from suppliers, associations, up and coming trades and business owners, and of course Australia's trades and building business mentor, me, Miles Primrose. So our first guest today is Brad from Tradie. Good morning, Brad.
Thanks for having me.
So Tradie, that's obviously an appropriate name for the Trades and Builders Business Show.
Yes, it is.
So I'd like to ask you today about your journey. Obviously the name sort of says what you do. You help trades and builders with their branding and design and that type of stuff. Yep. But when did all this start and why did it start?
Okay, so the Tradie Pack's name came about in 2012. I was a freelance designer for a fair while before then, and during that time started to do a lot of work for trades just through referrals, sort of word of mouth, and and then started to see a sort of a pattern there that these guys need help in the industry. Normally branding sort of gets put down the bottom of the pile for them and they just want to get something established. So it was more about trying to make a difference in the industry. We want to sort of lift the standard across the board. So the sort of Tradie Packs idea came about and it was to create a streamlined, sort of easy process for them to get their branding done, whether it was a startup. So that was sort of the basis of the idea, and then over the last few years, starting to refine it down, really establish ourselves throughout Australia. And
So what would have been one of your big milestones, your first milestone in your business? What would one of those been for you?
First milestone is probably just getting, some recognition and getting some, established, knowing that we're starting to get a name for ourselves. So that's a big milestone. Putting staff on, probably another thing. So going from a freelance designer to eventually, starting to grow a business. So
when was your first person that came on board to start to help you? What year was that?
So that would have been probably about 3 years ago.
Yep.
And since then I've added another 2 people in the last 14 months. So so starting to build the team and see the importance of having good people around. So yeah,
it's a big commitment putting people on board and making sure you've got enough work for them.
Definitely.
Every day, every week, isn't
it? Yeah, definitely. That's when it becomes real, but sort of that's where you start to get the enjoyment. And now I'm starting to really hit that sort of team feel, and it actually makes going to work more enjoyable, a bit more structure. I think when you're on your own, you tend to just work at no time frame, and you're doing all sorts of hours and
you're drifting in and out.
Yeah, exactly right.
Too many coffee breaks and
exactly. So having some staff has actually given a bit more structure to timing.
You end up holding yourself a bit more accountable.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Communication with them and making sure that you're sort of trying to be the best you can be too. And I think since I've put on staff, I've actually become a better person, better leader. So yeah.
So you've got a few people following you on your Instagram account.
Yes.
How many?
15,000.
15,000
followers.
How long has that taken?
That's probably built over the sort of the 4 to 4 years, thereabouts. So I think we've got a very a niche business, and it seems to really, with Instagram, has really hit a sort of a market there. We create all our own content. It's more about quality than quantity, our posting, and
so by quality you mean high standards, is
high
that right?
Standards, yeah. I know you don't like the word quality, but high standards, and and I think people have sort of seen that we try to be unique and try to make everyone's brand stand out for the right reasons. So yeah.
I wouldn't say you try. I mean, you do a pretty good job at making that happen.
We do all right. So yeah.
So I'm a trades business owner.
Yep.
You're in Melbourne.
Yep.
I'm in Perth. How's the process work if I want to get some work done?
Well, it's still the same. A lot of the time, most people that want to start a business or a brand, they like to either touch base with someone. We're getting to a point where we've got a lot of credibility, so people are actually comfortable placing orders online and then us following them up. But we're at a point now where some people might, book a consultation with us over the phone. Everything we do is via, email and over the phone, but a good chat to start, and then work out where they're at. So, is it a rebrand? Is it a business starting off from scratch? So then we can determine where's their starting point. Probably the biggest thing with people going on their own is that they're not sure, they're dipping their toe into a lot of the time. So we're going to sort of give you an option that might get you started, but then we can then grow with you, as you start to sort of, move and even start to put on your own stuff.
How many people have you had that have actually started with you and they've come back to actually invest more time and money with you to actually build their business?
Good percentage. I'd say around sort of, 50-60% of our customers come back with following orders. So it might be establishing their branding and then growing with them. So then they may not be, ideally you should have an online presence, but it's then adding a website, it's then, signage, it's then getting their vehicle graphics and really establishing, taking pride in that brand. So, yeah.
And you've got I know Google reviews are a big thing, but you've got a thing called Trustpilot.
Yep, correct.
Can you tell us a bit about that and how that works and how many fans you've got? And
So with Trustpilot is just an option for us to send out emails to gather reviews to our customers. We have a high turnover, so it might be we might have some smaller jobs, just one-off orders, but then we've got the big packs. So Trustpilot works for us in a way that it allows us to, instead of getting them on Facebook and then on Google, it just allows us to put them in one spot. And then it helps with your SEO and your ranking there. At the moment, we've been on that since so late, sort of probably October, November last year, and we're about 150 5-star reviews. Which is pretty high rating. So we're going all right with that. So,
that's annoyingly good.
Yes, it's going all right. Yeah.
So with trades and builders, they should have their weekly toolbox meeting.
Yep.
Do you have like a similar thing with your team?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the other things that I've enjoyed with a little bit of structure is we've just had a team meeting on Wednesday mornings. It allows us to sort of go over things that we think we can improve within the business. It's helped us with the designers, sort of help with our resources too, so make our workflow more efficient when we're looking for things. So it's helped with that, and then also moving forward. So giving my staff an understanding where the business is at, what we've done well, how we can always improve. So that's been actually an enjoyable part.
Your team, you've got 3 or 4 girls working with you.
Yep.
No guys?
No guys. Yeah. That hasn't been deliberate. It's just
it just happened. But do you think they actually listen better to some of your clients or than blokes?
I mean, it's a lot of I still handle a lot of the inbound, but I feel that it doesn't matter who's speaking to the customer, as long as someone's in touch and they've got a clear understanding and they're comfortable in the situation. A lot of the time, the trades just say, hey, I just swing the hammer or do whatever. I got no creative, I leave it up to you guys. But what we want to do is get enough and more information out of you so we can give you, a distinct brand that makes you stand out. And is just not something you want to throw together. So, we're trying to really work on that with our streamline, the way that we gather information, because the more we got, the more accurate we can be. And sort of nail it from there.
So if I'm a tradesperson somewhere in Australia and I've maybe been in business for 3 or 4 years. I've got my Bill's Plumbing at hotmail.com. And I've got I don't know, there's one of those cheap places online that does branding or whatever.
Like Fiverr or something like that.
I've got that. And I know I need to do something. I'm not here to spend a massive amount. I'm not here to be a tidy either. Somewhere in the middle. How does the process work? Like, is it easy? What do I do?
Yeah, so a lot of the time with existing businesses, they might be lacking in something. So one of the things we hear all the time is, look, we've got plenty of work on, or our work comes through word of mouth or whatever it may be, but they've never sort of established their own brand and really had to go there. So it's more one, working out, what do I need? Is it something as simple like a credibility pack? You're doing tenders and you're actually seeing a customer face to face. You might be just handing over a presentation folder with some stationery collateral in there that just has got all your branding across it and looks sharp and something like that. So that can be an option. It can be single orders too. So we have a lot of guys and companies that might say, hey, on site I need to stand out. So it might be your signage, your banner mesh, that sort of stuff. So for existing customers, it can be just one-off orders to establish where you're at. But then we can also say, might be time for a rebrand. You might not have touched anything for 5 to 10 years. Let's get you into the sort of, into today and get you something, looking forward. So
I suppose I've seen a lot of trades and builders like you have.
Yep.
I come to you and I say, look, there's a lot of people out there using green. There's a lot of people out there using blue.
Yep.
How are you going to make me different?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
So I guess it's, look, a colour is one thing in the sense of how it reacts, but it's also something that they're comfortable with, and then it can actually establish a brand. I feel like any good design can look good in any colour scheme, but it's also giving the customer enough options too to say, hey, it just doesn't need to be blue and black because that's the only colours So colours can be one thing, but it's establishing a good design, a brand, whether it's an element that you can use throughout. An icon, a symbol, that sort of stuff. So it's thinking a little bit beyond the colours and the overall picture. So yeah.
So with your business, we obviously met through a friend.
Yep.
And then actually the way it worked is I went through a lot of LinkedIn requests, and I'm sure like you, I get a lot every week. There was one person which actually stuck out, and I saw there's something great about this person. I connected with him.
Yeah.
Then we had a meeting, and then he connected me with your friend Chris. And the reason he connected me with Chris, because he said Chris knows you better than he does.
Yep.
And he said that would work better in that way. Now, obviously, since we've met, you've done the Trades and Builders business program with me, and that was a bit over a year ago.
Yep.
I suppose to me, why did you do it, and what were the key things you got out of that actually helped you with your business?
Yeah, the why was I'd been at it on my own for some time. Felt like I was treading water a little. Felt like I wanted to get to the next level, and I think, as I said to you, I was like, needed some help on some things, but you don't actually know what that help is until you go through
It's what you don't know that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly right. So, once I sort of established it, and it was more than I ever imagined. A lot of it was probably personal too, getting a lot more confidence in knowing that you do have a good business, a good idea. But then how do you then structure that and then take that to the next level? So that's sort of what I've learnt and got out of it the most. And it's also reignited the fire. I think that's the other one, is when you're in business for a while, you can become complacent. And my business always grew, but it grew at a 10-15% a year, where once you can establish it, well, you can turn it on its head. And
so you'd lost your mojo, or you sold it or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You built a new one.
Yeah, I built a new one. So yeah, so that's what I got out of it, and allowed me to really get to grow as a person in business and as a person in general. So yeah.
So what's your plans for Tradie packs to actually for you internally, and I suppose for some what are your plans for helping trades and builders for 2020?
Yeah, so I guess it's always evolving, really establishing that we've got more products to offer, better packs, more convenient, making sure that when someone comes in, we can tick the box from as simple as a logo through to throwing the whole kitchen sink at it, sort of things. So it's been sort of ahead of the game too. With Tradie packs, we want to always grow. From a personal point, I want to get the business out there a lot more. I feel that need to network, show my face a lot more in the business, even though we are an online as such business. Actually putting a personal touch to it so people are confident and understand what we're offering. So I'd like to be more into the sales networking component, sort of ambassador stuff going forward for 2020, and then also adding more designers, more workflow, just really stronghold on the.
Sounds
on
like
the
you've got a heap of stuff you want to get done this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We're on the Trades and Builders Business Show. I'm Miles Primrose, and we'll be back with you very soon.
Ticker. This is Ticker. This is Ticker. From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Good morning and welcome back to the Trades and Builders Business Show, the show where we hear from suppliers, associations, up-and-coming trades and building business owners, and of course Australia's trades and building business mentor, me, Miles Primrose. Our second guest today is Jason McIntyre from Flat Stick Roofing. G'day, Jace.
Hello, Miles.
Good morning. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yes, it's been a bit.
Tell me, you're 26 now?
Yes.
When we first met, you were 21 years old. And you had just done your first year as a sole trader, I believe.
Yeah, just finished my apprenticeship.
What I want to know is, look, you've built a really successful business. When I first met you, you'd turn over your first $80,000 as a sole trader, which a lot of people go, that's not a lot. But you've got a 7-figure business now. And some people go, okay, $1 million, multi-million-dollar business, so what? Is he making money? Well, I know you are. What I want to do is I want to go back to your apprenticeship. What age did you do your apprenticeship and why did you decide to be a tradie?
I started when I was 17, my apprenticeship, and yeah, I've always just wanted to do a trade. Tried plumbing first and then, went with roof plumbing.
So, did you do your apprenticeship with one person or two people or?
2 roof plumbers.
Okay. And why did you switch?
First one was because it was just a lot more travel.
Yep.
And second one was in Riddles Creek, which is pretty close to where I lived at the time.
Okay. And what were some of the things that you learned as an apprentice, and what were some of the things you didn't learn which you think, okay, I wish I would have learned that?
I learnt how to deal with talking to builders when I was an apprentice, so
yep.
I picked up that pretty quick, which was good, but
yep.
when I finished my time, quoting wasn't really my strong thing, so
yep.
had to learn that pretty quick.
Okay. And when you were doing your apprenticeship, was there other apprentices in that business at the same time?
Yeah, there would have been 3 or 4.
And were there some there that were a bit sort of, how you going, a bit loose?
Yeah, you could
with
say
their
that.
standards, I suppose?
Yeah,
yep.
Standards could have been better, I guess.
And did you, what's the difference between you and them? Like you're now obviously running your own business and you've put in a lot of hours, but do you sort of look at apprentices that you've got now and the way you're an apprentice and think, there's a difference, I wish they were working as hard as I used to work, that type of thing? Or
yeah, they're never, it's hard to say. You can definitely pick the ones that are the harder workers and the more committed ones as well, with current apprentices and older apprentices that I had worked with before.
Yeah. And look, you're still young, you're obviously, in your 20s, but do you see some of the guys that are actually working with you spending too much time on the phone or taking an extra break or anything like that which sort of annoys you? Or
yeah, there's definitely a bit of that still going on.
Yeah.
It's less, they're a little bit better now, but yeah, we still have a few issues there.
So what have you done to actually make sure things are a little bit better? Like, I know I've obviously worked with you on and off over the last few years, and I sort of remind you to do things, and sometimes at work, sometimes you're busy.
Yeah.
But what are some things that you've done to actually get these guys to actually stop being on the phone or to turn up on time or, act on things from the toolbox meetings, that type of stuff?
Having someone on site in charge on each job site's been a good thing because everyone else who's there don't really need to have their phone on them when they're working. So
yeah, and
I've still got somewhere where I can contact someone and see what's going on.
And when you're an apprentice, what did you do that you sort of went and put in a bit more of an extra effort, or did you put in a few extra hours, or what did you do to become a bit better than the average apprentice?
I think a lot of it was listening. When I was working with...
Was what, sorry?
Listening.
Oh, okay, right.
I think because I was working with tradies, I tried to learn a lot from them when I was working with them.
Yep.
Even if it means they stood there and watched me a lot more, I was learning a lot more, so that was the main thing for me.
Yep.
So, yeah, took a bit from that.
And when you came to see me in 6 years ago, why did you believe it was time to sort of have a chat to somebody about working on your business and improving yourself? I mean, you're 21 years old. Like, not many people when they're 21 do that type of thing, which is great. But
I was just worried that I didn't want to make mistakes.
Yep.
So I just don't like being wrong. So
we all make mistakes, but
yeah, but not as. I think I tried to reduce it. I knew I was going to make mistakes, but tried to reduce the number and how much it would affect me as well.
Yeah. And so throughout the workshop, and that was 6 years ago. I'm sure you're not going to remember everything now, but what were some of the key things that you sort of got out of the workshop, and did you find it hard or was it challenging? How would you describe it?
I think a few things I learnt was how to, I suppose, talk with people that work for me and understand how they learn and how they understand things.
Yep.
So I suppose each person's different. You've got to talk to them and on a level that they understand as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it's still a challenge, but yeah, getting better at it as well.
And if I look at three things: communication, people, and the business development and meetings. If I ask you about those three things, are those things that are actually things that you believe you have improved on, or you still need to improve on, or?
I think yes for both. I still need to improve on it, but it has gotten a little bit better.
And with you working on yourself, on your business, the intention's always there to actually do something and actually come to workshops and be there. There's the Jason that wants to be there, and there's a Jason where
I'm too busy.
You're too busy, but I suppose that the positive thing is that I know that you actually like getting the job done. You actually like being on site.
Yeah.
You're somebody that's a hard worker, but a hard worker in a good way. But for you to take your business to the next stage, you know that you've got to stop working so hard, I suppose, like a lot of people are doing. And you've got to think, okay, well, however many hours you work in a week, you've really got to chop 10% off those hours and actually, whether it's come in and see me or work with your second in charge and actually help them.
Yeah, taking a step away from the tools was probably, it'll be tough, but I think that is the next thing that needs to start happening. But
I mean, you don't have to do it completely, but
no, definitely not.
Baby steps, I suppose. So, what challenges have you had in your business from a people side of things?
I suppose people getting to site on time, and it's just sticking to commitments. If I tell someone we're going to be there at a certain time, and that's what I want it to stay at. So
yep.
I've got to really rely on the guys to make the right times and do what they got to do.
Okay. And what have you done to improve the communication with your team and the communication with the builders that you work with?
So my guys speak to the builders a fair bit on site as well, so it's not just me speaking to my guys telling them, he said this, we need that done.
Yeah.
So they've got another point of contact if they need to get onto my guys as well as calling me as well. So
yeah. And where do you pick up your work from? I know initially you would have got work from word of mouth.
Yep.
But your business has grown at an amazing rate over the last few years. If you could think of a few things, look, I've got a couple of things written down here. So, Instagram. Have you got a pretty good following on Instagram?
Yeah, it's not too bad. We are generating a fair bit of work from Instagram now.
Yep.
That, and every job site we're on, we try and put a sign out the front, and I get a fair bit of work from that, surprisingly, as well. Okay,
so you've got site signage, Instagram. Are you using Instagram properly? Like as in getting posts up, every day, every second day, that type of thing?
No, not at the moment.
No. So that's something to put on your list to actually get somebody to do for you, because you can't do that yourself. And obviously, word of mouth. And occasionally, do you get referrals from suppliers now and then?
Yeah, a few of the suppliers we deal with, they do refer us for the trade work. So and then we get our materials through them, and yeah, win-win for everyone.
Okay. What would be your biggest source for leads? Where would be the most amount of leads that come from a certain area?
What, the towns or?
No, like you've got Instagram, site signage, word of mouth referrals. Like, where would be most of the inquiries coming from?
Getting a lot from referrals at the moment. So yeah, that's been the best so far, and site signage has been a good one as well. But yeah, I'd probably say referrals.
So it's I know you're in the foyer before, and also your phone is going off left, right, and centre. But sometimes people are just calling you out of nowhere, and is that how it works, or?
Yeah, well, we get a lot of email inquiries where they send across their plans from the builders. So we get in contact with them and then email them a quote, and generally go from there.
Okay. What's your response time to get back to people? Because I mean, to me, I've got a feeling that most of the builders will be pretty happy with you the time you get back to people. I don't know what it is. I'm just asking, how is it a day, a couple of days? How long?
Well, if they call me, I suppose I'll get onto it. They have a quote back the next day. If they send an email first, we'll give them a call, get in contact with them, and then generally the next day we try and get a quote back.
That's pretty good.
It's not too bad.
Yes. Now, what's your? You've got a team of people set in the office. What roles do those people do?
So we've got quoting, I suppose emailing them off, getting in contact with them.
So is that person doing that full time or they're part time, or it's a full time role?
That's full time.
Full time. Okay, great.
Talking to the builders and organising times and dates and when we can fit them in.
Yep.
So yeah, I suppose structuring their jobs and setting out the right people to do them.
And you've got somebody else obviously looking after the accounts.
Yep.
And then there's a third person. What does the other person do?
That's kind of just helping with mainly the quotes. That's where we get pretty busy with the quotes, but yeah, bit of everything.
And how many people have you got on the tools at the moment?
9 at the moment.
9. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's busy.
What's your plan for 2020? So, what about team wise? What do you want to end up with the team at the end of this year? How many?
By the end of the year, I'd like to have 12.
Yep.
12 teams, 3 people.
That's massive.
Big goals this year.
And another second in charge?
Yep. So I've got one on at the moment, and then in the process of working on the next second in charge. So the other thing also is obviously you want to implement the right people structure. So what I mean by that is, the right position descriptions and reviewing them properly. So as you know, with a lot of tradespeople, a lot of people say I either can't find the right people or I can't keep the people that I actually want to keep. Now, what I say to them is, can you take me through the process of what you're using at the moment to actually do that? And it's, I need somebody, I'll put an ad at the suppliers, or I'll put an ad on Seek, and look, if somebody's available, I'll put them on. Which is not say, okay, so did you find out if they've got the right skill set? Did you find out if there's a match with a personality? Did you find out if they're actually they've got maybe a mortgage or something? Because you want to actually find people that have got financial commitments, because they actually need a job to actually pay their bills. Yeah.
And really, it's about actually making sure that they've got there's going to be a fit for you and the employee. And then when you put the person on board, it's one thing actually employing them, but the next thing is to actually induct them properly. So, tell them about the vision for your business. My goal is to have so many people by the end of the year. Our mission for our customers is this, and we do actually have a weekly toolbox meeting. A lot of people say they do, but they don't.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the 12 weeks, let's have a bit of a review, because if somebody's great and they're actually working with you, you actually want to know that they're actually doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So you're going to say that that's a process that you're going to take them through, isn't it?
That is the process.
All right, so when we come back from the break, we're going to actually look at your long-term goal for your business. And so we're at the Trades and Builders Business Show. My name's Miles Primrose. We'll be back with you very soon.
This is Ticker.
From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Good morning and welcome back to the Trades and Builders Business Show, where we hear from suppliers, associations, up-and-coming trades and building business owners, and of course, Australia's Trades and Building Business Mentor. That's myself, Miles Primrose. So our second guest for today is Jason McIntyre from Flatstick Roofing. Welcome back, Jason.
Welcome.
So the other thing I was going to ask you about is, what we haven't spoken about yet, is the long-term goal for your business. Like, you've achieved a stack. You're 26. You started when you were 21. You've got a 7-figure turnover business. Your profitability is okay, and look, you've done what a lot of people haven't done. You've you've got your house, you've got a young baby,
Yep.
You're married. Like, slow down.
Ticked a couple of boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing really well, which is fantastic. I'm sure, as you can see, you've achieved so much in such a short period of time. And what's funny is, like, you know, there's other people out there that are really motivated and they want to create big stuff, and you look at their business every year or every 2 or 3 years, and they've made progress, but nothing like you've made. But I believe one of the secrets to your success is that you are a great listener, and from what I can tell is you focus on being reliable to the builders. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. You try and always look after them. You don't really want to get on their bad side because you don't want to lose work. So
Yeah.
I think they understand that too.
So when you get you get in front of a builder, or what's been your thing that over the last few years where, okay, you've got some people where you've been introduced to them and that's okay, that's a referral. But some of the other builders, the connection is a little bit colder in the sense you might not have been introduced as well or from a friend or whatever. What have you used, or you're like the 100% Aussie genuine person, but what have you used to actually start the discussion or get things going? What approach? Do you catch up for a coffee? Do you go to the pub? What do you do?
No, I'd meet them on site, go over their job and kind of let them say how they want it done, and then tell them how it has to be done. And yeah, once they understand that we know what we're doing, it's all pretty good from there.
Okay.
Have a bit of a giggle and all good.
What sort of questions do they ask you to sort of make sure that you know what you're doing?
I think their biggest thing is their time frames.
Yep.
So
Are some of them unrealistic, or?
some of them can be a bit silly, but but they're generally not too bad. So we just tell them what we need to do and how long it takes to get materials sorted and things like that. And after that, they're always pretty happy. So.
And you do new residential work, and you do some
do a bit of renovation as well, the re-roofing side of things.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep a closer eye on that, obviously with the weather and things like that, if you're ripping a roof off.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as they feel like everything's pretty safe, they always seem to settle down a little bit.
And if we look at Melbourne geographically, if you think at the end of this year, where are you working from to from? Like, you would start at the bottom of the city, is that right? And how far north would you go?
I want to go pretty far north towards Bendigo way, I guess.
That's not north. That's
north.
That's
North,
that's north.
Yeah, maybe.
That's that way. So you're going that way.
Just want to go everywhere.
Okay, so you're going to go from the top of, say, Brunswick, across to Bendigo, and then do you go further than Whittlesea or somewhere around there? Or
Yeah, we go further than that. Well, I'm based in Kilmore.
Yep.
So it's not too far from there, but yeah, even anywhere north from there.
Okay. So as long as it's in a sort of a very big radius from the northern suburbs of Melbourne, is that right?
Yep.
And some of your guys there that work for you, they sort of live around that area, or?
Yeah, they're all from kind of Kilmore, anywhere north from there.
Yep. So, what's the most sort of exciting job for you to do, where once you've done the job, you look back at that job and you go, I'm really proud of that job. It's a little bit unusual, it's got some curves or corners, or it's a little bit difficult, or what's something that really gets your Fruit Loops going?
I suppose every job gets my Fruit Loops going, but some of the architectural design ones with a bit more to it, you do get a bit more satisfaction from them.
Yep. Because it gets you out of the normal routine, you've got to think about it a little bit more.
Yeah, something with a bit more thinking.
So, if I was to ask you, you've been in business for 6 years, and there's some guys or girls that are about to start out in business, what would you actually say to them to actually give them a bit of direction, or what should they do or do differently to actually make sure that they're going to, first of all, stay in business and actually be a little bit profitable?
I suppose it's setting yourself up properly.
Yep.
And not just concentrating on being on the tools. You've got to spend a bit of time off the tools.
Yep.
And Yeah.
So how many hours a week do you suggest that people put aside each week to work on themselves and their business? Because just say if you're working 50 hours a week all up, which I'm pretty sure some weeks you work a bit more than that.
Yes.
Yeah. So just say if you were working 50 and you work 40 hours a week on the tools. I know that's a bit unrealistic for some people. I know they do a bit more than that. But just say that other 10 hours, you've got, there's three things. There's working on your business, which is when you came to me 6 years ago. That's one thing. The next thing is working on yourself. There's a difference, because working on yourself is reading a book, watching a video, or listening to an audio book. So that's working on you. And the third thing is where a lot of people get this mixed up, is the office side of things. That's like your marketing, your accounts, that type of stuff. Because people just go, oh look, I'm on the tools and I go home and do the office stuff. To me, I don't like that. That's too blurry. That's too grey.
Yeah.
There's three areas. So what you're saying is it's really important that they actually put aside some time to actually work on themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one.
And even though some of them might not enjoy it initially, that they need to put aside some time to actually work on their business each week. And I know when you've done that, and when we catch up, you've actually started to see some improvements and results straight away. Even the other week we were looking actually restructuring the people side of things, and there was a few good things that came out of that.
Yeah, definitely.
When do you believe is the best time for somebody that, there's a girl that's got she's about to go and get her ABN and go and start her own plumbing business. When's the best time for her to start to work on a business? Is it before she starts or afterwards?
Probably before she starts. I tried to do it as soon as I thought.
Yep.
And yeah, just I don't know what to say.
I suppose to me, when you started, there was you came to see me, and one of the things that you wanted to understand was you wanted to know about getting the right finance for vehicles. And like a lot of people, I ask them, well, what do you want to get out of working on your business? And there was a few things that you came up with. And if we look at everything that you need to do to actually work on your business, the things that you wanted was a very, very small amount.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
a lot more to it.
I know there was a few times there when you sort of went home and it was like you'd been hit over the head.
Yeah.
With a couple of books.
It definitely got filled up with a bit of knowledge from a few things, but yeah, that was the first thing, vehicle finance, and yeah, kind of got more and more from there.
And obviously you've got a lot of connections that you could call on and rely on. If we were looking at your business in 2019, if I was to ask you two things, what happened in 2019 where you look back at it and you think, I had a good year because of these things, and in 2019 also, here are some things I didn't do which I should have done. What would be a couple of things?
Okay, spending a bit more time on myself and a little bit of time off the tools. It's probably something I need to do a bit more of last year.
Yep.
So that was one.
And if you think of your business last year, and we all have some sort of positives, what was a positive that you take from 2019? That it could be getting a new builder, it could be an employee you put on board. What's something positive that came out of 2019?
I think a couple of the employees stepped up a little bit more last year, worked out what they wanted to do, and they've really stepped up and made things a lot easier.
So why did that happen? Was it you actually having a regular talk with them, or did it just happen? Or
I'm talking to them regularly,
yep.
And then I think they just asked the questions, learnt the things they need to learn, and they really went a lot better from there.
Okay. So you're 26 now. In 4 years' time, you're going to be the good old 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plans for you to make life easy for you from a business point of view, but you're still going to be doing what you love. What type of people you're going to look for to actually employ in your business, and sort of what type of more work do you actually want? Is it more residential work, new homes? Do you want more renovation work? What would you like?
I think the renovation side, you do get a lot more satisfaction from the jobs.
Yep.
So it'd be something I'd like to concentrate on getting a bit more of.
And you now realise that it's actually time for you to look at thinking about the people side of things, so that you can maybe let go of some things and actually hand it over to the right people to make life a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, getting people, I suppose, being confident enough that they're in the right place to take on a bit more responsibility.
Yep.
Help lighten my workload.
And so you've got one baby at the moment.
Yes.
How old's your baby?
9 months.
9 months. You getting any sleep?
Yeah, I have my times.
So obviously you want to make sure that your business is set up the right way so you can spend some time with your young family.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a big one.
So lastly, what I want to ask you is, if you look back at the last 6 years of your journey as a business owner, what would be the thing that you actually, two things, the thing that's challenged you the most in the last 6 years, and the thing that's been the most rewarding that you're happy about?
I think rewarding is getting to a good size with a good team where we all start to get along with each other and we can all talk to each other. That's rewarding. Seeing
Yep.
people learn,
Yep.
picking up, learning new things. That's a big one. But yeah, it's
And what would be the biggest challenge in the last 6 years?
keeping the right people.
Yep.
I mean, it always sucks losing the person you think that'd hang around the longest. But yeah, that can be a challenge. So it's always something I need to work on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time, for being on the Trades and Builders Business Show. My name is Miles Primrose, and I'll be back with you Tuesday next week on the Trades and Builders Business Show. Thank you.
This is Ticker, your new source for news.